This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome back to another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. We got a bunch of different stuff going on today. Going to be going over kind of our ideal mock draft, going over some viewers' mock drafts, and maybe even do a live one later in the show. Touching on a lot of the latest news and updates that we've got from some reporters around the league. A lot of stuff is starting to pop up this last couple of days before the draft. And Belichick said last week that a lot of the stuff is agent talk until you get to really 12 hours before. So we'll see. A couple days away from the draft. It's coming right up, and soon enough we're gonna find out what's real, what's fake, what's been the rumors and what ends up happening. So super excited. But here my co-host Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, final 2 days. Let's go. We're freaking less than 48 hours away. I guess we're 49 hours away from when the NFL draft will be kicking off, and super excited for that. Put all the speculation, all the rumors and stuff away, and just figure out who the heck's going to be the next Patriots, through the 3-day weekend. It's going to be fun. So I'm super excited to just get to that, because I think, like you, there's so much smoke screen out there, and there's, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. I just want to know, and I'm sick of trying to figure out, is that smoke screen or whatever. So I'm super excited about this, and to do one final mock draft. I believe I did 15 on this channel and did a couple other live ones and stuff. And so I'm excited to do one and, have you back on and do one right before the draft. So I'm excited, man. This is the best week in my opinion. I love it.
This is my favorite time of the year. Like no doubt. Obviously the regular season and if you get to the postseason and stuff, that's great. But outside of that, like, there's no better time of the year than the draft. Free agency is exciting, but something about the draft, it's just you're guaranteed to get some prospects and probably be excited about them, whether you are at first or you're not, and you talk yourself into it once your team picks them. But I think there's a lot of interesting possibilities and a lot of potential excitement that can happen with the Patriots this year in the draft, picking at third overall where they haven't been in so long. So that Carlos says Cole,
I am not eating for the next 48 hours, so there's no chance. No,
Jace, we should make a rule. Jace has to pick a new snack to eat every pick. So he's got 10 minutes each time. He's gonna be stuffed by the end of the night. No, but Carlos, that's how you know he's a long time listener.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I'm super excited. I am getting a little nervous though, just because, like you said, all the smoke, all the different things that we've been hearing popping up aren't necessarily our preference. I don't think we'll dive into that here shortly, but
yeah. And guys, if you haven't, we put something on our Instagram. So our Instagrams are right by our names on screen. If you want to send us a mock draft to react to and you haven't already, send it to one of us on Instagram, and we'll get it up here for the end of the show, and we'll check those in 25 minutes or so and refresh it. We do already have a couple we're going to talk about, but if you didn't see that Instagram story, or you just didn't know about it and you want to have a mock draft reacted to by us, you probably have the next 25-30 minutes to really get those in. DM one of us and we'll get it on there. So have a chance to do that. But let's talk about some of the rumors a little bit. Let some more people get in here, build the suspense a little. There's a lot of rumors about a trade down, and I think that both of our opinions are take the quarterback, but maybe mine's a little bit different, because there's one guy that I'm honed in on, and that's Drake May. So give me kind of your thoughts on all the trade rumors and news and stuff like that. What are you thinking? What makes you nervous? Just let me know about that stuff.
I'd say the main thing that makes me nervous is the fact that we're hearing so much smoke around the Patriots being open to trading down, wanting to trade down. I think that's probably something that's being pushed from them. And if they're pushing this and saying the offers aren't good enough, all this different stuff, that just makes me think that they don't feel good about the quarterbacks that they think are going to be available at 3. And that makes me nervous. If they're willing to trade down, I feel like they kind of have these guys in the same group, whether it's Drake May, McCarthy, Penix, any of these guys, excuse me. And that concerns me, because I think we should take a quarterback. I think we should take Drake May if he's there. I know you agree with me there. I don't know. I'm starting to get worried that they don't love the quarterback. And I don't love the idea of trading down. If Drake May's there, I would take him. If Jaden Daniels is there, I would take him, unless you're getting some crazy offer and a team gets stupid. But that's what I would do. That's what I'm hoping they do. But all the smoke about them getting offers, being open to offers, you're not hearing Washington talk about that at all. Washington is, no, we're comfortable with our pick. We're like, and I understand the Patriots don't have the same certainty Washington does. They don't know who Washington's going to take necessarily, but it's really only one of two guys. And after that, maybe they feel the same about some of these other guys. And if that's the case, if they really have Drake May evaluated the same as JJ McCarthy and even maybe a Michael Penix or something, that is a little frustrating. But if that's their evaluation, then okay, trade down, get the assets, take the quarterback if you feel the same about him. I disagree. I would disagree with that evaluation.
See, and I feel like there's one guy they want. I feel like if the Patriots didn't like a quarterback at 3, they probably would have been more open to move down by now. I think they want to see who Washington takes. And in my mind, if it's Drake May on the board, you run that card up and you take him there. If it's Jaden Daniels, I'm fine taking him because he's electric and he's fun, but I'm also fine with getting a haul similar to what the Dolphins got when they traded back with the Niners from pick 12. I think it's going to be, if you trade with Minnesota, who we know is super excited about Drake May because Josh McCown, who's their quarterback coach now, coached Drake May in high school. You're probably going to get pick 11 and 23. You have to get those 2 picks. You're probably going to get a 2025 first. And in that pick in that trade a couple years ago, the 49ers also the Dolphins also got a 2023 third round pick. So maybe you throw in a 4th round pick. If that's the case, I'm fine with it. I don't think they've gotten something like that. I think that they're definitely waiting to see if maybe the price goes up, if Jaden Daniels is there or maybe someone wants to trade up for JJ McCarthy. I think there's one guy they have their eyes on, and I don't know who that is. For me, it's Drake May. I think there's one guy, and if he's there, they take him. If not, they consider a trade down. But I agree with you. If it's not like a haul, like if it's only 3 first-round picks, I think that's a waste. I think if you can get 3 first-round picks and possibly a late round, not a late round, but like a 3rd or a 4th in this year's class too, that makes it a little bit tougher for me to pass on. If it's 4 first, then I'm definitely like, yeah, take it. And then I know that we talked about this over text. I'm a little bit more on the Penix side, but if they trade down from pick 3, unless they view Michael Penix as the same as Jaden Daniels and Drake May and stuff, I would just rather load up on talent, like get talent around this team because there needs to be talent. They need to find a way to put Drake May or whoever's going to be the future quarterback success around him. And, with 3 future first round picks, I think that there's a dang good chance you can do it, especially 2 in this class, because this is one of the deepest classes I've evaluated. And there's guys that I'm going to love all over the draft board. So I'm a little bit more open to the trade down. If it's Jaden Daniels there, I'm fine if they stick and pick. But if it's Drake May, they better run that card up before that clock hits 9 minutes left, because that would be the slam dunk pick in my mind. I just think that if you sit him for 6 or 8 to 10 games, maybe even the whole year under Jacoby Brissett, and then you push the receiver down the line and say, hey, we're going to take a 1st-round receiver next year or sign one of these guys, I think that he's going to be Josh Allen, Justin Herbert type. I mean, I just see all the intangibles in them. I see the size. I see the inconsistency, but it doesn't worry me because I think that you saw inconsistencies with Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, and they sat and they were able to work out when they had really good talent around them. So I'm all on the Drake May train. That's how I want it to go. I would obviously be excited about Jaden Daniels too, but for me, I just want it to be here. I'm sick of the speculation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ashton's comment here is something I want to touch on as well, because 4 first-round picks, like you said, that would probably do it for me. 3 firsts and a player. If you can get Jordan Addison, or is it Christian Darrisaw, their tackle?
Their tackle.
If you can get one of those 2 guys and 3 first-rounders, that kind of helps you fill a need with a young, talented player, and you get the 3 first-round picks. That would intrigue me as well. So that's certainly an option. I don't know. It's hard to get excited about needing, like, Penix is okay. Penix, I sent you that quote that he had, which was awesome. That got me fired up a little bit. The tweet I'd sent you about Penix, but it's just, I don't know. It's hard to think about trading down, passing on a talent like Drake May or Jane Daniels, who has the ceilings of a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and watching another season of Zappy, Jacoby, Mac type play. Like we've had Cam Newton, Mac Jones, Bailey Zappy the past half decade here.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to think about the potential of these quarterbacks of Jaden Daniels and Drake May.
And I get what you're saying, but we screwed up the rebuild when we took Mac Jones so bad that in my mind, this is a 3-year rebuild again. We reset the clock
Do
as soon as
you
we
think that the Max pick was a mistake, or you think
No.
what we did was the mistake?
No, I don't think
how we
Mac
surrounded him.
Yes, how we surrounded him was the mistake. And
Yeah.
And right, because Mac's rookie year, we looked great. We had a franchise quarterback. What we thought about a going offense, Josh McDaniels leaves. Right, there's obviously some questionable drafting, and then he falls off. He has a defensive coordinator and failed special teams coordinator, head coach come in as his OC quarterback coach. The trust wasn't there. For me, it's how we talked about it when we hit on Mac Jones in the first year, and then it just progressively got worse. The team, we screwed him. And so that's why in my mind, I'm like, I don't mind the trade down, because if you trade down and get 3 or 4 first round picks, you're going to figure out everything. And then you're going to surround the quarterback no matter who you put in there. And I get it. They might not have the top 5 potential quarterback, and that's what you want ideally. But it's so hard for me because we screwed Mac Jones. We should have been probably contending for the AFC East this year if we would have done everything right, or even given him a number 1 wide receiver this year. Now we're starting over with the number 3 overall pick, and you're probably looking like, hey, there's no way we're going to address every position this year. You take a quarterback or you take an O-lineman or whatever, then you have to push the other one down the road. And then now you're developing 2nd and 3rd round guys. And if everything works out perfectly, then yeah, maybe you're in the playoffs in 2 or 3 years, but that's if everything goes perfectly. So for me, it's like, I'm looking, what can we do this year to help us 3 or 4 years down the road? And obviously, if you take Drake May, then you have a lot of work to do surrounding him so that he doesn't fail like Mac Jones. But if you trade down, then you're really loading up in a really deep, loaded draft class in this year, and you're taking 2 first-round picks probably in the next years to come. So I mean, I'm fine either way. You know how I feel about Drake May. Like, that's the guy. And I get it. There's some people in here that don't really like him. There was inconsistencies in Patrick Mahomes coming out of college. He played Free Willy at Texas Tech. Yeah, he had some great games. There was inconsistencies in Josh Allen. There's inconsistencies in Justin Herbert. There's very few perfect quarterback prospects coming out of college. If you want to nitpick on a quarterback, there will be 50 different ways to nitpick on a quarterback. Trust me. You can nitpick on every quarterback, right? But what he does with his raw talent is so special that you have to take a chance on him at pick 3. You have to. If he's there, you have to take a chance on him, especially with Alex Van Pelt. He has been known to develop quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield, he's been known to take guys and take them into good quarterbacks. I believe that we have the guy in the building as OC quarterback coach to develop him. If it was if it was Matt Patricia or Joe Judge, then it's a different story. I'm not touching him because you're like, he's not going to develop. But with a veteran quarterback in Jacoby who he can learn from and a solid offensive coordinator who's developed quarterbacks, I have all the faith in the world that by year 2, this guy's going to be ready to have a breakout year. So that's where I stand on him. And I would love him at pick 3.
Yeah, I think some of the stuff that I disagree with for people who want to trade down is not taking a quarterback at all this year, or waiting till 3rd round for Spencer Rattler, like something like that. If you're trading back this year from 3 to 11, all the assets you get, you're just going to have to use the same amount of assets to get back up in a future draft to draft a guy that you could just sit here and draft right now. So I get that in the future, if you trade back, take some positions, that quarterback might be in a better situation. But it just feels like if you have a guy here that you feel confident in, just take him. And if it's a guy like Drake May who's going to benefit from a year of sitting down and learning from Jacoby, you don't need to have the perfect situation right now anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can take your 1st round pick next year on a wide receiver or on a tackle. And 2nd, 3rd round here, you can take some swings as well. So I just think it kind of seems a little unnecessary to trade back just to trade those picks or future picks of yourself. It's going to cost the same.
how many other draft classes are quarterbacks most likely going to go 1, 2, 3, and possibly 4? You might be able to take a quarterback 2 or quarterback 3 at pick 10 or 11 in other draft classes. Like this is a loaded draft class for quarterbacks. I get it, but there's not very many. This is like the first time since I believe it was the Zach Wilson class, and we all know how that one turned out when it was quarterbacks 1, 2, 3, and we expect them to go 1, 2, 3, and possibly JJ McCarthy at 4. So I mean, I get what you're saying, but Josh Allen was quarterback 4 off the board. I think he was the 9th pick. Patrick Mahomes was the 10th pick. He was quarterback 3 off the board. And so I get it. There's just not going to be as many loaded draft classes, which is why people are saying, well, just take the quarterback now because next year's class isn't very loaded. Well, guys, I've said this before. I sound like a broken record. Jaden Daniels was nowhere near a 1st or 2nd round pick this year. There's going to be guys, Carson Beck, there's going to be guys that are going to jump out on screen for you because of what they do. So it's, for me, there's going to be quarterbacks there. Yeah, I'm sold on Drake May. I think that there will be another guy that comes around that knocks our socks off halfway through college football like Jaden Daniels did, and maybe he isn't as skinny as him and there's not as many injury concerns. So I don't know. But I mean, I see people in the comments. I get it. Like, I get your concern about Drake May. There's no doubt about it. But you're going to sit here and say, hey, there was inconsistencies in Drake May's game, and I'm telling you there was inconsistencies in Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Herbert. So, yeah, I get it. If you want to say it's a horrible comparison because I compared him there, I'm just saying, guys, if you take a young quarterback that's inconsistent and you put him with a good coach that can develop him, we've seen what can happen. You don't just draft a guy because he's had a little bit of inconsistencies and he lacked talent at North Carolina. Like, this kid has everything intangibly. He can do everything. So I don't get why you're kind of nitpicking at him unless you really just want to scout the helmet and say he's Sam Howell or Mitchell Trubisky, which isn't really fair. So, but no, it's going to be interesting. I kind of do agree with you on the fact that if you trade down, I have a hard time wanting to take another quarterback. If you trade down, just load up at every other position and say, hey, we'll take a quarterback next year or something, because if you're trading down from pick 3 just to take Michael Penix, it's like they better really, really, really love that guy and really believe that he can, be a franchise quarterback. Because if you trade down just to take Michael Penix at pick 11 or 23 and he doesn't hit, it's like he should have just taken Drake May there, because now you just wasted a pick. You could have gotten a number 1 receiver or a number 1 franchise left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, if, like I kind of mentioned earlier, if you truly feel the exact same or pretty much the same about May, McCarthy, and Penix, it would be dumb not to trade down, because you're going to be able to get one of those 3 guys a little bit later, whether that's at pick 11 or even a little further if a guy like Penix falls. But
yeah,
so if that's really how they feel, then the plan of trading back makes sense a little bit more. But at the same time, I have a hard time imagining that they're going to look at the film and really feel like those 3 players are very similar as far as potential goes. And Elliot was talking about it. Elliot Wolf was talking about, this is not a next year plan. This is a future plan in general. Like, this is a long-term plan. So long-term upside, Drake May blows all these quarterbacks out of the water as far as May, McCarthy, Penix. So
yeah. And I just want to address this comment right here from Drigo talking about that Alex Van Pelt was trash at developing quarterbacks. I haven't heard any of that, so maybe you need to send me your sources, but this is a guy that's worked with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Aaron Rodgers, Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I mean, maybe he hasn't developed a guy like Patrick Mahomes has and Andy Reid, but this guy's been around some damn good freaking quarterbacks in the league. He knows how to he played quarterback at Pitt and played in the NFL. Like, this guy knows how to coach the position, how to talk to the position. I have all the faith in him. He's sure as hell better than Joe Judge or Matt Patricia would ever be. I mean, I've never heard of someone saying, if you want to say he was a bad OC, that's fine. I've never heard of someone complaining about how he's developed quarterbacks. So unless you have an inside source, I'm not sure where that's coming from. And I haven't heard the Browns say that either. I've only heard Stefanski say good things about him too. So I don't know. I mean, I get it. There was the fired rumors or whatever rumors that there were there. Believe what you want, but I've never heard someone talk bad about him as a quarterback coach or whatever. So, but we'll leave it at that. I mean, we got to get into a mock draft. We're 20 minutes in here and we got a mock draft. So we kind of made an ideal mock draft for you guys that we would like to see. And then we'll get into the viewer mock drafts and stuff. And of course, guys, if you haven't already, send us your mock drafts on Instagram. Our Instagrams are on here. So let's jump right into this, Cole. Let's talk about the first pick, okay? Right? You believe Jaden Daniels is going second overall? Are we believing what everyone's saying?
I'm pretty 50-50 on it. I don't know. You hear so much back and forth, and there's so many smoke screens. Like, it's so hard to figure out what you can and can't believe. And it does seem to be trending that way. A lot of the insiders, the odds have said the same thing. And usually when the odds and the insiders line up a decent amount ahead of the draft, it's usually pretty close. Right in this area, right now, this timeline, if the odds start changing a lot, that sometimes we could have a Will Levis situation on our hands where the night before he was the favorite to go number 2.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm pretty 50-50. I think we're gonna have a lot better idea day of on Thursday. I do think it is trending to Jaden Daniels. It feels like some people have more concerns with Drake May than Jaden Daniels, which is okay. I understand the appeal of a guy like Jaden Daniels. If you feel confident in your ability to develop quarterbacks, and it seems like we've gathered quite a few guys here to evaluate quarterbacks and to develop them between McAdoo and some of the other guys here. And we just signed Jacoby Brissett, who's going to be a great mentor. I just think if you feel confident in your abilities to do that, Drake May is a guy who you should love because he has a lot of things that are wrong with him that are pretty fixable if you have a good quarterback situation around him as far as coaching staff goes. And so we've heard a lot of different guys, Dan Orlovsky, talk about May has some really fixable things that cause a lot of issues in his game. So that's kind of good to hear. So that's kind of, I hope it goes May 3 to us. That like we said, this is kind of our ideal situation. We'll see how it falls. We'll see how it goes though, and we'll see if the Patriots feel the same about May as we do.
Yeah, and I think me and you both wanted the Patriots to get the second overall pick because that would have meant for sure you could have taken Drake May. Like for the longest time, I've wanted Drake May. Like this has been the ideal prospect for me. I think in any other class where Caleb Williams isn't there, or you don't just have maybe the best college football season by a quarterback, he's a surefire lock as the number 1 pick. Like this is a franchise quarterback. People aren't really nitpicking him there, but I mean, he came in at 6'4", almost, or 6'4.5", just shy 6'4 3/4, 223, like big body, big frame. He threw for 4,300 yards and 38 touchdowns and 7 interceptions as a sophomore in 2022. And then last year, right, he loses some of his best receivers, his 2 best receivers, Josh Downs, and I forget the other guy's name. The 2 leading receivers in 2022 is he loses. And then Devontae Walker, who transfers from Kent State, is now no longer he's not there for the first 4 years because he's ineligible due to transfer rules. So this guy started off with, not the best guy there and the best receivers. He's not throwing to Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr. He's not throwing to Malik Neighbors or any of those, but he still showed that he has the arm strength. He can drive balls in tight windows. For me, he's, a surefire guy. I love him. I think that he will do great in this system. And I think what made me kind of tilt to Jaden Daniels going second overall was when the Commanders hired Cliff Kingsbury and then they brought in Marcus Mariota. I was having this argument with someone on Instagram, like, I feel like teams want to have a backup quarterback that is similar to what they have the starter. Then you don't have to change the scheme. You don't really have to adjust like that. And I think that makes the most sense. If you're the Washington Commanders, you bring in Mariota, you bring in Kingsbury, who has a record of bringing in guys like Jaden Daniels when he brought in Kyler Murray. I think it makes the most sense there. And then that leaves Drake May for the Patriots at pick 3. And like I said, I'm running the card up. I'm running him up there and making him the next future Patriot. And hopefully you surround him with more talent than what you did with Mac Jones.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope they don't overthink this too much. And I do agree. I think Cliff Kingsbury, that aspect does make sense as far as Jaden Daniels goes, and bringing Mariota in there. It's just those things do kind of line up. Everybody twists it kind of how they want it as far as the Sam Howell thing goes too, and the UNC quarterback thing. And, but I don't know, if I was a Washington fan, I'd be having a little bit of PTSD with some of these quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels, RG3 type maybe. And then Drake May, another UNC quarterback. I'd be running for the hills if I was a Washington fan. You got a little bit of trauma there, but as far as the Patriots go, I feel like just pick the quarterback who's there, and hopefully it's Drake May. And if it is, then I'm definitely not thinking twice, just running the card up unless somebody goes absolutely crazy with an offer for you.
Yeah, I mean, if there's just a trade you can't say no to, then I get it. But if Drake May's there, it might be the saddest day of my life if they trade out of it. So moving on to the second round, Kate. Ideally, you heard Elliot Wolf say, like, we have NFL receivers on this roster. Now, obviously, you have NFL receivers on the roster. Are they top tier NFL receivers? That's the question. Now, I like both the tackle classes and the receiver classes in 2025. So you're probably going to be looking at one of those in the first round next year if Drake May hits. Now, for me, we have the receiver being the one pushed down, but you still get a viable option here. But Kingsley Sumatia is 6'5", 326 pounds. He played both right tackle and left tackle at BYU, so he's experienced. He has that position versatility. He has 34 and a quarter inch arms. He ran a 5.04 40-yard dash, 31 reps on the bench press, and then 9'2" on the broad jump. People say that, like, he is the most raw, not the most raw, but like this guy has the highest ceiling. If you can get it out of him, the way he moves athletically, he was a 5-star going to Oregon originally and then transferred to BYU. This guy with a good offensive line coach, and this is why it kind of fits into, for me, is like, hey, you're taking Drake May, you're probably going to sit him for half the season, if not the whole season. Kingsley Sumatia can start right away. He can get valuable reps. Maybe he sits a little bit behind a core four, but he's not going to be like, oh, we're going for the playoffs right now. You have to be good. He's going to have time to develop. He's going to take valuable reps. He's going to be able to build up to a starting left tackle. And I think he can. And so I love taking an offensive tackle here. It all depends on how the board falls, because there could be a huge run on tackles towards the back half of the first round. And then you pivot to a receiver. But I almost like taking a left tackle and developing him and then pushing the receiver card to either free agency next year or to the first round of the draft next year, because there are some tackles that I really like here, and Kingsley Sumatia is one of them.
Yeah, and like you said, that's what I was going to mention. His timeline lines up perfectly with a guy like Drake May, which is kind of what went into the thinking here as well. But there's, like you said, there could be a run late in that first round. A team like Washington might be wanting to trade up, try to get Tyler Guyton. We'll see. There's going to be a ton of offensive players in this first round. So maybe a wide receiver falls that we didn't expect. Maybe a tackle falls that we didn't expect. But I think Sumatia, like you said, is a good versatile player who kind of fits the same timeline and has some upside where if he hits, he would be a first round worthy player. So I definitely like taking tackle here and protecting a guy like Drake May, because you don't want to get your quarterback hurt as soon as you draft him. You want to try to surround him better than we did with Mac Jones.
Do you like taking offensive line? Like, obviously, if the board is ideal, you have guys that you like at both positions. Do you like taking tackle more than receiver? Or, do you want to get a weapon for Jacoby Brissett, Drake May? Or, I mean, I guess my question is, are you fine pushing the receiver card down the road until next offseason?
We haven't had a receiver in so long that I'm tempted to say receiver, but at the same time, I just think it depends on the who's available and the draft class. And kind of like we saw when we did this mock, there seems to be more talent available at wide receiver in the later half of round 2 and rounds 3 than there is at tackle. So I think you can get a similar caliber wide receiver as you can tackle at a later round. So I think tackle is okay. I also love Brian Thomas Jr. and AD Mitchell. And if one of those guys falls to a range where you can scoop them up, I would not be mad at all about that. Tyler Guyton, same thing, though, as far as the tackle situation goes. So I really don't think you can go wrong with either. Like, it's two glaring needs. And I think we filled them both here.
Yeah, for sure. So then this is a guy that, so Kingsley Sumatia on my big board right now is ranked 29th. I think he has that upside, and obviously in scouting, you kind of have to project. Ricky Pearsall is another guy for me. He's in my top 40, and that's why we have this trade up, because I don't like trading up back. I guess I do like trading up back into the first because you get that 5th-year option, but it's going to cost a lot more. So I like giving up a 3rd and a 5th to get up into the late 2nd and take a guy like Ricky Pearsall, who has position versatility. He can play both inside and outside, really good route runner, really tough, been productive at both Arizona State and Florida. So I like trading up into the late half of the second round and taking this wide receiver because, like Tony says right here, like it's a deep class. There's going to be guys that are going to fall. And I know people are going to say, well, why not take like Xavier Legette? He's like the true X receiver or a guy like that. Well, I'm to the point where we can't be picky as Patriots fans. We just need good receivers. I wish we could say, hey, we need an X receiver. I just wish we had good receivers in general, right? Like Kendrick Bourne's a good, solid receiver, but we need like just top tier wide receiver talent. And I don't know if I believe Ricky Pearsall can be a number one. I think he can be a very strong number two, Adam Thielen type of guy. You're just going to have to add that number one next year or through free agency. And then I think Ricky Pearsall will be a great complementary piece for the Patriots receiving core.
Yeah, but like you said, if you can get a guy like Pearsall and he ends up being a strong number two, you go get your number one next year in the first round, you're probably going to have a top 12 pick. So go get your number one next year early in the draft. You have your number two in Pearsall, and you got your number three with Pop Douglas and Kendrick Bourne. So
Yeah.
that allows you the freedom to kind of get rid of Juju Smith-Schuster possibly as well. And Tyquan Thornton, we know the situation there. So yeah, I like this pick a lot. I think it does add a good player at a position of need, and you're not going to be able to get a number one receiver, a franchise left tackle, and a franchise quarterback all in one draft. If you do, this front office is going to be around for a long time because that's, absolute home run. But you know what I mean? You're going to have to split these needs into next year as well. It's not likely that you're going to fill all these holes this year. The roster just needs so much. So if you can get a guy like Drake May, you can get a guy like Suamatia, both developmental guys. You can kind of give them 8 games to a full year to develop, and then grab a guy like Ricky Pearsall as well. I like it a lot. I think it like makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, let's answer this question before we move on from Tyler. Do you think Ayuk or Higgins are getting traded now? At this point, it's probably going to have to be a draft day trade, kind of like what we saw with AJ Brown. And if the Patriots trade for him, it's going to be pick 34, right? Like we assume if one of these guys are available, it's pick 34. It sounds like the more likely one to get traded right now is T. Higgins. You think Ayuk?
Yeah,
because I thought that John Lynch was saying they're making good progress towards the Ayuk deal.
Yeah, then I heard something today about that they're looking for a first round pick for Ayuk if he does get traded. So Higgins said he expects to be around. It doesn't really seem like it's super likely either one of them gets moved at this point. But it does seem like Ayuk is more available than Higgins right now. Neither of them seem super available. It's not like they're like, come trade for this guy. You know what I mean? So yeah, the San Francisco Chronicle, that's what it was reported. They're seeking a first this year. So pick 34, basically a first round pick. Take that. Take what you can get. You're not going to get a first round pick. Well, I don't know. Maybe you will, but I don't know. I just feel like a first round pick is a little steep, especially if it's in the future and you're questionable as a team. I just think if you can trade 34 for Ayuk, pay him, get your number one receiver, and then you pivot tackle in the third round and go take tackle top 12 next year. But if you can get Drake May, if you can have Drake May and Brandon Ayuk, I think that's a great start to your rebuild.
I mean, if you're looking at the quarterback needy teams toward the end of the first round, you're going to have Buffalo. I mean, would you trade pick 20?
A quarterback needy team?
Sorry, a wide receiver. Did I say quarterback?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was like,
My
Josh
fault.
Allen. Yeah.
No.
I know he struggled a little bit.
Like if you're looking at if San Francisco wants a first round pick, like and you're Buffalo, are you giving up pick 27 or 28? I believe they're at for Brandon Ayuk, or are you just going to take a Brian Thomas Jr. or AD Mitchell? Like that's what it would come down to. Because when the Titans did it a couple years ago for AJ Brown, and I don't agree with it, but they're like, we're going to take Treylon Burks, and or they traded and took Treylon Burks. Like, is Minnesota really going to find, not Minnesota, is San Francisco really going to find a better player at pick like 28? Say they do trade with Buffalo. I wouldn't think so, but then it comes down to the contract situation, obviously.
They have a lot of stars on that offense where if you're giving Brandon Ayuk a big deal, you got McCaffrey, Kittle, and Deebo Samuel. Like, you can't pay everybody. So maybe they don't love it, but that might be the situation for them.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel a lot better about a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. as opposed to Treylon Burks. So if you can go get a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., I think that's great too. But the problem with that is you're not just going to have to give up 34. You're going to have to give up something else to go trade up to get Brian Thomas Jr. You know what I mean? So as a Patriots fan, I would rather just, if you can trade 34 for Higgins or Ayuk, I'm perfectly fine with that. Perfectly fine with that.
For sure. So, all right, well, let's move on. So, I mean, this is first 3 picks here are quarterback, tackle, receiver, who we believe are the biggest needs, right? So now you go to safety, or you go to the defensive side of the ball. We talked about cornerback here just because obviously I don't know if we have a cornerback 4 on this roster right now with the departure of JC Jackson, with the departure of Jack Jones. The other thing I don't think we have is a true free safety like Devin McCourty type that can go numbers to numbers, hash to numbers, and is a ball hawk. So we took Cam Kitchens here, who I think is a dang good option. I don't know if he falls to the 4th. He's a dang good free safety option. He played 376 total snaps at the deep safety for the University of Miami. Really good range, not the best tackler, which worries you a little. And obviously he had a better 2022 than 2023, but he's very good in zone. He's very good when he has to track the ball down, really good ball skills. So what do you think of, would you rather go corner or safety here? I know we talked through this, but if Cam Kitchens on the board, he's probably the pick here, but we talked about Cam Hart at corner, other guys there to kind of fill that outside corner role and maybe move Jonathan Jones into the slot corner with Marcus Jones.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about our corner room. I know you'd feel better if you had another guy there, but our free safety room is kind of non-existent. You're kind of playing guys out of position there, whether it's Duggar or Jabril Peppers. So Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar are 2 guys that you want in the box as much as possible because they just create havoc, whether that's rushing the passer, stuffing the run, guys who can cover tight ends as well. Getting a true free safety is something that this team, like you said, hasn't had since McCourty. And I think it was a big part of our defense under Belichick, at least, which I would think the defense would be pretty similar. We heard it wasn't going to be a lot of changes. So getting a guy like Cam Kitchens here, true free safety, that would be my preference. And that's what we went with here.
Yeah, for sure. Adding that, we have so many box safeties, and I almost wonder if Bill Belichick was still here, would Kyle Duggar be on roster? Because he drafted Marte Mapu in the 3rd. Was his plan to replace Kyle Duggar with Marte Mapu, right? Because I feel like there was so much overlay with Marte Mapu, Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers. There's no true free safety in that room. I know they moved Jalen Mills, but I mean, he's older and he's not even with us anymore. And so it's that was a temporary solution. We took another strong safety. Adrian Phillips was on roster last year too. He's not there. It's we had so many of these versatile Swiss Army knife type of safeties that can play in the box, can play in coverage, but we didn't have a true deep post safety. And I think that getting a guy like Cam Kitchens back is, kind of the best option. So go a little bit of the defensive route and then talk to me about the tight end. I know that I thought last year they were going to take a tight end, didn't you? Right. Knowing both Gesicki and Hunter Henry were not on contract, there's got to be some sort of down the line plan because Austin Hooper only signed a 1-year deal. So, I mean, tight end, right? It makes too much sense.
Yeah. I definitely thought they would take one last year. I think this year it makes sense as well. I don't think you have to invest super high in it. That's why we took a guy here in the 6th with Barner. You got Hunter Henry locked up for 3 more years. So you got your main guy. If they're going to be running a ton of 2 tight end sets, maybe you want to take a guy earlier. Maybe you feel good about Hooper, but I think just getting a guy to complement kind of what Hunter Henry doesn't do well, and as far as the blocking department as well, isn't a bad idea. But just getting a player who's kind of versatile in both aspects, getting a guy who can be on the roster and just getting a body in there. I know we just signed a tight end. I don't know if you saw his combine highlights of him getting smoked in the face, but
yep.
I was like, oh boy. All right. But no, it happens. But yeah, I think tight end is definitely a need. I think it's something that we had to address here, and taking a shot on a guy late in the draft is no big deal. And
I like AJ Barner, but exactly what you just said, where I feel like this is overlap with Hunter Henry. He's 6'6", 251 pounds. There's better H option type of guys. Ben Sinnott, Dallin Holker. There's Jaheim Bell, who the Patriots had a top 30 visit with. There's better options that complement him, but this was the best tight end available. I think worst comes to worst, you let him sit for probably 2 years behind Hunter Henry, and then, you have him ready to go, because you always need an inline blocking type of tight end, and he could kind of learn from Hunter Henry and take over for him. So I know we got an F on that pick. I mean, PFF has their draft board and they go off of there. I'd be happy with AJ Barner in the 6th. There was maybe if we had our 5th round pick, we didn't trade up, you'd be able to take a guy like Sinnott or one of those guys. So you'd have a chance there. But you're going back to the defensive side of the ball. Edge rusher, front 7 help is always something that I feel like every team likes to get at some point. I would have liked to have been able to take maybe more of a true interior run stopping defensive lineman, just because I feel like with the re-signings of Uche and Amphrey Jennings, and then obviously Keon White coming up and Matt Judon coming back, there's not really a need. But Uche is only on a 1-year deal, so you take a guy like Solomon Byrd, who's 6'3". He had 12 hits in college football last year. That was top 10 in the country from the defensive ends. He ran a 4.6 40, jumped 33.5. Developmental guy late in the 6th round. He's going to play on a bunch of special teams, and maybe he can turn his career into something after Josh Uche leaves, if he leaves next year.
Yeah, it's just defense is not the priority in this draft, but taking a guy late is, I think edge is one of those needs. Edge, corner, safety, those are free safety. Those are kind of the 3 needs on defense. Obviously, we didn't take any defense in our top 3 picks, but taking a guy here on the edge, just throwing a dart at the board, getting a guy in here. Uche, like you said, 1-year deal. So we don't have a ton of guys coming up after Judon. This is his last year. Then you got Uche, and it kind of falls off pretty quick after that. So I have no problem throwing a dart at the board. Same thing kind of with this next pick at tackle.
Yeah, and this last pick at tackle, let me ask you this. Do you think it's more important to double dip at receiver or tackle this draft?
I think it depends who you take first. Like in this situation, if you feel good about Suamatia, maybe you do take a receiver double dip in the 7th round. So you take a receiver late round 2 or round 3, and then round 6 or 7. So you double dip that way. We did it taking tackle first and last, or as far as like between tackle and receiver. But I think it kind of depends who's on the board, obviously, but also just who you feel better about. If you feel like, all right, Ricky Pearsall is a guy that we don't have a ton of confidence is going to be great. It's kind of maybe hit or miss. Maybe we'll throw another dart at this guy late in the draft. Then that's fine too. So I like it here though, because Suamatia feels more like a projection than necessarily Pearsall maybe. So double dipping and taking Frank Crum. I'd like the pick here.
Yeah, Frank Crum, guys, for those of you that don't know, he's a 5-year starter at the University of Wyoming. He played right tackle for his first 4 years. He bumped out to left tackle this year, and he got first team All Mountain West Conference. 6'8", 6'8" plus. He's 6'8" and 2/8, or sorry, a quarter, I guess I should say. Math is hard, sorry. 313 pounds. Lots of experience in college football, right? Like, this is a guy that's played a ton of college football. He has good arm and wingspan. For me, it's like, you take a guy like this in the 7th round who has all the size and all the length that you can not teach, and you try to mold him into a guy in 2 or 3 years. And if worse comes to worse, or I guess best case scenario, you move Michael Winu into right guard, which I don't necessarily agree needs to happen. But if Kingsley Suamatia and Frank Crum develop, they've both played both tackle positions. You can put both of them at right or left tackle and then have Michael Winu be at right guard. Now you have to figure out a left guard, and then hopefully Jake Andrews can develop as the future center once David Andrews is gone. But I mean, you take 2 developmental tackles who have the intangibles to develop, and you can get them to play high-level football. You figured out both your tackle positions in one draft, and I'm pretty high on Frank Crum, and think he's played a ton of really meaningful snaps in a good Mountain West Conference team, and he's really good at Wyoming runs the ball a shit ton. Like, they're ground and pounding, so he's going to be a good run blocker, and you develop his footwork and stuff, and he'll be good there. So let us know. I mean, PFF gave us a B+. I'd be really happy with a draft class like this. Like, I'd probably rank it somewhat similar. You know, maybe you could find a better receiver at some point in the draft. Maybe you take him at 34. I think this would be one of the better options you could come out as Patriots fans or the Patriots in general.
Yeah, I have no A minus, maybe. I just feel like you get Drake May at 3. That sets the standard pretty high for your draft if you get the franchise quarterback if he hits. But yeah, I like what we did here. We took the first 3 picks, top 3 positions of need. You got your franchise quarterback, hopefully a tackle who can start for you there on the left side within the first couple years, and a wide receiver who could end up being one of your top 2 guys. So I think we overall did a pretty good job.
For sure. Well, let's take a quick little ad break here. Thanks to our sponsors over at Underdog Fantasy, guys. We're going to take a quick little ad break, and then when we get back, we're going to get into the 6 or so mock drafts that you guys sent us. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that.
Thank you to our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. With Underdog, you have a chance to 20 times your money in a single night. You just have to choose higher or lower for whatever player stats you want, and you have a chance to win big. Pick anywhere from 2 to 5 players by downloading their app or going to UnderdogFantasy.com. And now with their pick'em insurance, you don't even have to hit on all your picks to win the money. So what are you waiting for? Make sure you use code PATCHDRIVE today for your first deposit matched up to $100.
Yeah, all right, guys. Thank you to our sponsor at Underdog Fantasy. Just use our code PATCHDRIVE, guys. There's NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. You can bet on golf if you want to win a bunch of money. Just bet on Scotty Scheffler. He wins every damn freaking golf match. So if you want to win easy money, there's ways to do it. You can get your first deposit match to $100. So let's jump into some of these mock drafts by you guys. Okay, first one here is going to be from Tyler Baker. Okay, he, similar to us, Drake May at pick 3. He goes a bigger bodied receiver, Xavier Legette at 34. Then he double dips with Roman Wilson at pick 68. I believe he traded up from our original 6th pick, which was pick 180, and he probably gave a future pick for Kieran Amagaji, who's a developmental left tackle out of Yale. Takes a corner who we both like, a bigger bodied Cam Hart, AJ Barner, who we took, and Frank Crum. So pretty similar at the bottom half, but what would you rank this draft, Cole?
I like it. I like that you took Drake May. I like Xavier Legette a little more than you do, I think. Same with Roman Wilson. I think you addressed the wide receiver position well. I think you got the quarterback. And I think I would have liked to take tackle a little earlier, but if you're taking a developmental guy, you're still throwing a dart at the board. And if Drake May doesn't play this year, you just take a tackle next year with the first pick, and there you go. And same with like the Frank Crum thing you just talked about. Another developmental guy played both sides. So overall, I like this one. I think I'd give it a similar grade. I think I'd give it probably a B+.
Yeah, I like Kieran Amagaji. I don't know if he's there at pick 82. He's got all the size. He didn't do any of the pre-draft measurement and stuff like that, but I like him. I don't know if I like double dipping at receiver back to back. I like Xavier Legette, I think is going to be good. I'm not as high on him as some. Ideally, I would like to take him at pick 68. I mean, it's not a bad draft. I'd probably give it a B just because I'm lower on Xavier Legette. Like it's not that I think
I think you're not taking into account his accent. I think you have to factor that in with your evaluation.
Yeah. You're right.
His accent is awesome.
He's going to be the best receiver of all time because of his accent.
It's so funny though. Have you heard
He's not going to fit in Boston. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so I went to this. It's hilarious.
That's funny. So no, pretty good one, Tyler. Thank you for sending that one in. So let's move on. This is Los Talks Pats. Okay, we see him in the chat here. Hopefully he's still in here. He goes Drake May at pick 3. He trades down a little bit in the second round. Takes Ricky Pearsall. Brandon Coleman is a developmental left tackle too. He's played guard. Sinnott, who I mentioned, I really like as a H back type of tight end, a little interior defensive line help, pass rusher. I love Javon Foster. And I think that he has played a ton of football at the University of Missouri. So I would say I actually maybe like this one a little bit more than Tyler's. Nothing against Tyler's, but I like the players personally more. And I don't mind the trade down just a little bit in the second round, just because you get a little extra picks. And this is such a deep class. There's going to be an opportunity to take a lot of guys that you still like, you know, at pick 40 or 38, depending on how far you trade down.
So what's your grade?
B+. I'll give it a B+.
I feel pretty similar about this one to the last one. I don't know if I'm I'm in between B+ and A-. I like it.
Yeah.
I think I like it a little more just because you're addressing tackle a little earlier.
Yes.
And you're also getting bub mean, so that has to bump your grade a little. So I'll go with A-.
I agree with you, Carlos. This would be the one thing, like, at 166, I've taken him in the 5th round a ton. I think he's going to be a late 4th, early 5th round guy, Javon Foster. So maybe you have to take him at pick 137, but if he's there at pick 166, I think it's a slam dunk for the Patriots. So I agree. I like the 2 tackles you took. Brandon Coleman and Javon Foster are 2 really good tackles in my opinion. So next one's from Patriots Force. He goes Jaden Daniels. So he has the Patriots, the Commanders taking Drake May. Jaden Daniels, he does a very similar trade to what Carlos just did. He takes Xavier Legette at 41. He takes Brandon Coleman also. He double dips with Jalen McMillan, Cam Kitchens, Gabriel Murphy. I'm going to give this one an A-, just because
I'm gonna give it to.
I mean, I get it. If this was Drake May, I'd probably give it an A+. I like Jaden Daniels. I like gaining extra picks here. You get an extra second, which I don't know if that's realistic right there. If you're going to get 2 seconds and a third just for them to move up 9 spots. But you take Brandon Coleman, who I like. You take Xavier Legette. I really like Jalen McMillan. I think he's just a really good receiver. And then you take a Cam Kitchens, who we already talked about. So I'd give this an A-.
Yeah, I'd give it an A- as well. I like this one just as much as ours that we did, our prototypical one. So I think this one turned out really good. I think there's a lot of players there that we both like. So yeah, A- for me.
Perfect. Patriots red zone. Okay. This is a trade down one. So I'm going to let you grade this first, right? Obviously he makes the trade with the with the Minnesota Vikings. He sent me the exact trade down. Let me read this for you. He says, in this trade scenario, Minnesota gives us a 2025 first and a 2025 third, along with pick 11 and 23. So you take Talise Fuaga, Bo Nix, Ladd McConkey, Cole Bishop, Zach Zinter, Xavier Thomas, Gabe Hall, Frank Crum. What do you grade this?
B-.
Okay.
B-. I don't know. I don't feel good about like the trade package. I like that you're getting 3 firsts and a third.
3 firsts and a third in 2020.
I like that you're getting 3 firsts and a third. I don't like that one of those is Bo Nix at 23 and Fuaga. I like. I don't think that's a bad pick. I don't know. I like Ladd McConkey. I'll give it a B-. I like Ladd McConkey. I like Fuaga. Frank Crum, we talked about up in Utah, Cole Bishop there. There you go. Here's your guy. So yeah, I'll go B-. I don't know. I think there's more exciting scenarios as far as the players you could get with that trade down.
I'm going to give this a B. Or sorry, a B-. I agree with you on a B-. I don't know why I thought B was lower than
it's mostly Bo Nix. That's if I wanted to give it a C+ just because of Bo Nix, but I like McConkey and Fuaga. So
I love McConkey. I love Fuaga. The back, I like Gabe Hall. I don't know if you need to take an edge and a D tackle. I don't mind taking an interior guy. I'd maybe rather, I guess you do take Frank Crum. Maybe you take a
guard for
back
Michigan is always great for us. So
very true. Very true. But I don't mind Bo Nix as a player, but if you're trading down, I don't want him to take him. If that was Penix, I'd give it a little bit higher grade, but I'd rather see like Talise Fuaga, and then also you take like A.D. Mitchell, and then you're able to get someone at 34. Like I think there were better players. I know I said this earlier in the show. Like if you're going to trade down, I'm almost just at the fact, like just load up on talent. Don't take a quarterback, load up, even though I like Penix and stuff, but I would give this a B- also.
I think this would be better if you were getting Brian Thomas Jr. or AD at 23, and then you were taking Bo Nix at 34.
Yes, I would agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Or if you took Penix at 23, if he's available there. I don't know if he's going to be available at 23, but if he is, that would be that would move it to a B from a B-, C+ range. But I'm just not a big Bo Nix guy. I just feel like you're drafting a guy to just be here. And that's not this doesn't win Super Bowls. This does. So
I can't believe you hate Bo Nix. He's like 25. Come on, what's not to like about him?
Yeah, I just, starting off with a 30-year-old quarterback your rookie year is not ideal. I mean, it's all right.
Okay. Can you see this zoomed in? Okay, thank you. I can't scroll up though. That's what I don't like about this. I'll start with it here.
Is this another trade back one?
This is another trade back one. This one is from Pat Scout. Now, this one gets a little crazy. I kind of like that he sent this just to talk about it, right? So originally, gosh, sorry, my Mac is so touchy. Originally, we get picks 11, 23, a future first. We also get a future third and a fourth round pick this year. Now, that's a haul. Like, that's the haul when experts are saying, like, they're not going to trade down unless you get a haul. That's a haul I expect, right? So they trade down to pick 11. This is where I don't like it. Why would we trade down to pick 11 and then trade back down to pick 19? I get you're getting extra picks, but you already just got a haul of picks there. I don't like that. I love taking Amarius Mims. Like, this guy's a mountain of a man. He's awesome. I like these first three picks. That's what's hard for me to grade this. I love Amarius Mims. I like Michael Penix Jr. I like Ladd McConkey. I don't like the second trade down to get to pick 19.
I would rather trade back up as opposed to down. I would rather, if Joe Alt is there at 8 or 9, I'd rather trade up a couple picks and grab him. If a guy if one of the top 3 receivers ends up falling to you, that's a great situation as well. So that'd kind of be what I prefer, as opposed to trading back down again. I think you've got enough capital there where you can use a little bit of it to get back up if you think that there's a lot of separation between a guy you'd get at 11 and a guy like Joe Alt, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, those guys. You compare up with Dunze and Penix in a mock like this. So
this is
cool.
This is tough to grade. I would probably give it a B. Just I love the players taken. Like I mentioned it. I love Amarius Mims. Yeah, I love Michael Penix. I love Ladd McConkey. I like Roman Wilson. Maybe I would have liked, because I think Roman Wilson and Ladd are pretty similar. They're not specifically slot guys, but they're more of slot guys than outside guys. They have the versatility. I like Blake Fisher as a swing right tackle. Cam Kitchens, we've talked about. Stover's really good. Mo Camara, DJ James, and then you get a late round running back in Isaiah Garendo or Isaac Garendo, and then you take a kicker who I get our kicking problem was bad last year, but I love the players. I have to give this a B just because of the players, but the trades are a little bit I don't like the second trade down.
Yeah, if I'm going to give the Bo Nix one a B-, I think I got to give this a B. But it's kind of closer to that B- range, just because, like you said, I like the players. I would rather trade back up than back down.
Yeah, for sure. And then I believe this is the last one from you guys. This is from Tony Starks. I know Tony has been in here. Hopefully he's still in here. Drake May, AD Mitchell. Guys, if this is how the first 2 rounds panned out, I would cry tears of joy. If AD Mitchell somehow falls, if somehow the whatever rumors of the diabetes and stuff is true and he falls, I'm going to cry, because I would love that. I would also love Kieran Amagaji. If he falls there, he's a great tackle. Mahogany, Browley, Tyler Day. I think this is an A- class. I would have changed up a little bit of the 4th and 5th round picks.
As I said, the later half.
But if this is how our first 3 rounds come out, this is a A- draft for me. So this is great by you, Tony. I think that this is great work. I just, on a realistic scale, I don't know how realistic it is.
You'll need a little luck to go your way,
yes.
But the first 3 picks, A+ if it happens. The rest of the draft, I think, does drop it to an A-, but still, I mean,
yeah,
if you're coming out with those 3 guys at the top, you're feeling pretty good no matter what the rest of the draft looks like.
Yeah. So yeah, Tony, I know no trades, and it's I like we said, we love the class. There's maybe you double dip at offensive tackle again at 103 just because you took a guy so late, or I don't mind Jarvis Browley. I think he's going to be good. I like Dylan Johnson. Maybe you take a different position. I think that there's some things maybe I would change personally in the back half, but man, picks 3, 34, and 68, you hit a home run on. You couldn't have done better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think great first half, and overall still great draft. A-. Like, it's great.
For sure. Totally agree. So guys, we both appreciate everything that you guys sent in. That's going to wrap it up, guys. We are officially 48 hours away. It's 6:11 at this time. We will probably know the Bears have officially selected Caleb Williams. Hopefully the Commanders are on the clock, and man, we're about 48 hours away. It's exciting. I'm starting to get butterflies.
I know. I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm hoping that hopefully we have a better draft than we did with Cole Strange a couple years ago. Last year was good though. Last year, I remember we were hyped because Gonzalez was somebody we did not expect to get, and traded down, still got him. It was fantastic. So I'm hoping we have another great great draft and have a lot of stuff to talk about and look forward to for the upcoming season, because there was not a lot to look forward to this past year. I can tell you that for sure. So
Are you a little, and I don't want to sound bad, are you a little disappointed that if they pick at 3, we just have nothing else to look forward to for the rest of the draft, unless they trade back up? But like last year was so fun at pick 14, right? We're watching the Lions take Jahmyr Gibbs and then Lucas Van Ness, and we're like, holy crap. Like we're going to most likely know, unless a trade down happens, we're going to know at the first 30 minutes of the draft who the Patriots have. And unless they trade up again, we're just kind of like sitting there commentating, talking about second round options. It takes a little bit of the fun out of it. But then again, you're getting an elite player. It's just, for me, I'm like, oh no, why can't we have like an extra first round pick or something?
Yeah.
So, maybe they'll trade back up.
No, it is. I see what you're saying. It's just so exciting to have a like top 3 pick.
Yeah.
Like having it the 3rd overall pick stinks to have to watch the Patriots go through that last year, but I don't remember ever in recent memory getting a chance at a prospect as talented as the ones that are going to be going in this range. Even if you look at wide receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, all those guys. You look Joe Alt, you got Drake May, Jane Daniels, Caleb Williams. Like, we haven't been able to look at players like this. We don't even turn on the tape because it's like we don't even have to. We know these guys are going to be gone.
Yeah.
So that's what's exciting about pick 14, was like you're kind of hoping for your guy to fall, and we're kind of going to know after pick, like the only thing, pick 2. That's what we're paying attention to. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But after that, I still think we have the 34th pick. We're going to be hoping A.D. Mitchell falls. We're going to be hoping Tyler Guyton falls, Brian Thomas Jr. We're going to be still hoping these people fall. And we have a pick so early in round 2 that I think it's going to feel like almost another first round pick.
For sure.
Because that's usually what our first round picks were 32. And now it's 34 this year. So I think it's still going to be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. I will say last year, like, to play to your point, like I thought for sure Christian Gonzalez like a top 8 pick. Like,
oh yeah,
unrealistic.
Fired
we get
up.
him at pick 17. Like, hopefully we can get another year of us getting who we want, which is Drake May. And so hopefully we get that. But guys, I appreciate, and me and Cole appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you guys are planning on tuning into at least some part of our live stream on Thursday when we go live. We're going to go live a couple minutes before it starts. Obviously be live through the Patriots pick, and then a little bit through after, and maybe the whole time. I'm doing nothing but watch the draft, so no need to not be live with you guys and stuff. And we'll set up, maybe you guys can call into the show. Obviously we'll be taking all of your guys's comments and stuff, so hopefully you guys are tuned into that and talk a little Patriots in the future and see what they do live together.
Food suggestions for Jace to eat live on stream.
Yes, anything you say. Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything you suggest, but if it's in my house, crickets. I might try it. Live crickets. I mean, I was gonna say, if we take Drake May, do I have to eat something? Like, I was trying to think like a Big Mac for Mac Jones, but what's Drake May? Do I have to eat mayo? Drake mayo?
Jar mayonnaise. Yeah.
A spoonful of mayo.
Yeah.
Here, I'll say that. I'll say that right now. It's disgusting. If we take Drake May, I will eat a spoonful of mayo live on stream.
All right, there we go.
There you go. That's my commitment.
Something for you guys to tune into right there.
Pat Scout, you're going to be able to expose me again with a jar of mayo, man. If Gerard Mayo and Elliot Wolf take Drake May at pick 3, I will eat a spoonful of mayo, and that will be your new clip. So
there you go.
There's my commitment to you guys. Make it a little spicy.
We'll have a new Jace clip every draft.
We're gonna need some donations or something though. If I have to eat I'm gonna need something, because I might have intestinal struggles for the next week if I eat a spoonful of mayo. But
yeah, you'll be all right. It's just mayo, just a spoonful.
Yeah, just tough it up. So
if you ate a jar, I'd be pretty concerned. But a spoonful, you probably put that on like a sandwich or something close to it.
Good point. It's just not plain mayo.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to eat plain mayo, but
cool. All right, well, guys, appreciate it. Make sure you use code PATSDrive at Underdog and use code PatriotsDrive at SeatGeek. You can get your first ticket purchase $20 off, and then your first deposit matched up to $100 at Underdog Fantasy. And it just all supports the show. Hopefully we can make it better. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and talk to you guys Thursday coming up and see who the next Patriot is. So really appreciate it. Make sure you guys are subscribed, and comment to the channel already, and turn that notification bell on, so as soon as we go live, you guys can be in here. So really appreciate it. Anything else, Cole?
No, that should do it. Looking forward to Thursday night. Hopefully it's a whole new Patriots franchise that we'll be seeing the start of. So super excited. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. come join the live on Thursday. And until then, we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.